everyone. Welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. It's me, Captain Logan, and joining me as always is my wonderful chat moderator and producer, DJ Martinez. How's it going, DJ?
It's going good, man. Going good. I love the music. We're keeping it consistent lately.
We are, yeah. Shh. I was wondering. I was waiting to see if anybody noticed. There's been a pattern lately, and nobody said anything yet. So.
No, yeah. Is there some kind of pattern? Because I don't know about it.
We'll just move right along from that. Anyway, how the heck is everybody this evening? Thanks a lot for joining us here on the live Captain Logan show. Tonight, we are going to do a regular Ask Me Anything show, as regular as it gets. Tonight's gimmick and theme is that there's not one. We're not going to do any kind of lead-in topic. I'm not going to do a real long preamble. I do want to mention real quick a couple of upcoming things, do some kind of house cleaning stuff. Tomorrow night, Austin and I are going to be doing a mini marathon on some of the Morbius episodes from the Spider-Man 90s show. So come watch that with us. That'll be real fun. That's the Morbius that goes Felicia. You'll get to see the Peter Parker with his extra arms and Man-Spider and all that fun stuff. That's some of the most memorable classic stuff in that show. It's so weird, DJ, how people don't think of Morbius as a great classic Spider-Man villain, but those episodes are some of the most talked about and quoted from that particular show, and he just happens to be there.
I feel like there must have been a DVD on those, because I remember watching those a lot as a kid, and I couldn't watch that show. I didn't have the channel, but I did have the DVDs. I know there's a Daredevil DVD, there's a Green Goblin DVD, and I think there must have been those Blade Up and Morbius episodes must have ended up on some DVD. I can't remember.
Yeah,
for sure.
Or maybe they were on a VHS tape or something.
Maybe.
Because, there were some later DVDs, and I don't know that it was on any of those, but I'm not sure. Yeah, anyway, and then Sunday night, Connor and I, along with Jason and possibly Austin, we could have a weirdly large panel for this. DJ, you're welcome to pop in, too, if for some reason you want to. We're going to go ahead and cover Sonic 2, and I've not seen that yet, so it's going to be interesting to see what that's like, because I let myself kind of get my hopes up a little bit too much for that movie, and then I saw that last trailer, and now I'm a little bit less enthusiastic, and I'm kind of nervous at this point, honestly. I'm worried that, especially after initial reviews and stuff, I guess all the reviews have come in at this point. It's been out a week, but I'm a week behind on everything. I'm kind of concerned about another Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows kind of situation, and I'm hearing people talk about it kind of like that, but some people seemed happy with it. And then I'm hearing people that really liked that first movie going, it wasn't quite as good as that. And I'm like, well, that's unfortunate. And I'm not sure if there's any way after you're saying that I'm going to love this movie, because I really don't like that first movie at all, but maybe we're just there for totally different things.
Yeah, maybe so. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you just completely switch. I've had that before.
I'm not sure what the different things would be, though. It's like I was really hoping for a more formulaic family movie that's like 900 other of those that I've seen. I didn't like that they just straight up did game stuff. I wanted more things like the people living in a town called Green Hills. That's more what I was after.
Yeah, the subtler the references, the better for me. That's what I want.
Because a lot of people that loved that movie said, look, don't worry, we get that it's a setup movie, but characterization of Sonic is fine, and then next time they're bound to do a lot more game mythology stuff. And that's why I got, it seemed like maybe they were right. That's why I started getting a little bit more jazzed, a lot more jazzed with those first couple of trailers where I'm like, yeah, it looks like where they should have started. They should have just given us this in the first place. And then some of the not funny, or I don't think anyway, humor and human stuff and all of that started creeping into the second trailer, or to the third or fourth trailer, and I was like, oh, all right, I guess we'll see. It looks like it could be more of the same, just infused with some of the stuff that they know we want to see, but maybe presented in kind of a lame, generic way. And that's what Out of the Shadows was. It was like, yay, we got Krang, yay, we got Bebop Rocksteady, et cetera, and it was still awful, and somehow kind of worse than that first movie.
It's funny that Out of the Shadows was kind of ahead of its time. I feel like we're doing Out of Shadows with every geeky thing right now. It's just throw in all the stuff that people want, and but Out of the Shadows just came out
While simultaneously
early.
proving that you don't know why people like that stuff and that you're not
Yeah.
a fan of it in the first place.
Sorry, Out of the Shadows
This
came out too early.
kind of quick.
It probably would have been received better, like
You think
after
it'd do better
things.
now?
Yeah, after things like I don't know what I came like Ghostbusters and No Way Home and like all these like things that are just trying to make you feel
Because I thought
nostalgic.
Sonic 2 might be out of the shadow situation, not just in the quality of the movie and the nostalgia approach, but also in box office. And so far, it's doing fine. So you could be onto something there.
Well, we kind of we didn't want to have a lead-in topic. We kind of did have a lead-in
But there
topic
it
there.
was, movies we're about to cover and how I feel about them ahead of time. So now let's go ahead and start right away getting into some questions. DJ,
I've
we've
got a
got.
ton.
You said we had quite a bit starting out. As always,
Yeah.
if you want to make sure that your question or comment is read and discussed on air, you can leave a super chat in any dollar amount, and we really appreciate anybody that has done or ever will do that. You guys are wonderful, and please don't feel the need to do that if you're not so inclined. You can leave a regular question or rather a regular comment as a question. Ping DJ there at DJ Martinez or at The Welder, and he'll see those more readily and put those in his list, although he said he's already got quite a few, so we should be in pretty good shape, but don't let that deter you. Let's go ahead and get right into them, DJ. What are we
Nail it.
talking about this evening?
All right, so a bunch of questions flew in as soon as I got in the chat. The first one, quick to the draw, was Blue Dragon 5. He says, what comic book characters would you cast in the role of Peanuts characters? Wow.
He's been going to a lot of these kinds of things
Haven't
lately.
haven't got that one.
We have to do all these weird
before.
mashups, and yeah,
Well, Charlie Brown is clearly Wilson Fisk.
that's wonderful. That's hilarious. See, my mind immediately is just flashing back to the Warner Brothers DC crossovers that they did in comics.
Oh yeah, did they do that?
Yeah, and some of them were really good. It's hit and miss, but they did a bunch of one-shots. They did actually 2 sets of them, and I didn't read any of the second set. I'd like to at some point. But my favorite, I've mentioned this before, but my favorite was the Martian crossover where they did Marvin Martian meeting Martian Manhunter, and that was a lot of fun. That was great.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's perfect.
But yeah, so I guess you'd have Snoopy the Super Dog.
Yeah. Are
Kinda
there any
just
famous
naturally.
superhero birds that could be his little friend? I don't even know the characters well enough to know who that friend is called.
God,
The Phoenix.
I'm rusty. I'm not a
The
big
Phoenix. The
Peanuts guy.
Phoenix can be that little yellow bird. Yeah, I don't know what his name is. Finstock? Philstock? Something stock.
Oh, Woodstock.
Woodstock.
Of course.
There it
No,
is.
I knew that. You know what, though? I should have let you flounder and give us about 5 more examples.
Blorockley stock.
Did he say just comic, like any kind of comic characters?
Yeah, just comic book
Okay, you
characters.
said Phoenix, and again, because I went to the Warner Brothers place, I was like, only DC exists right now in my mind for superhero stuff.
Lucy. Who could hold a football for Wilson Fisk to trip over?
Lucy is pretty clearly Lois Lane to me.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
And then Linus
Charging
is
5 cents for psychiatric help.
Foggy Nelson.
Who's
Like,
the
I'm not
most
going to
filthiest
superheroes.
comic character?
It's so much easier to do this with kind of supporting
Side
cast
characters.
and side characters. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's kind of what the Peanuts are. They're kind of like little caricatures of goofy, off the beaten path people.
I
Like
do love the idea of starting at a Wilson Fisk place though, and making it all like this undercurrent of crime and darkness. Where like they're just all working for him. He's ostensibly like antisocial and
when everybody picks on him, everyone thinks he's the loser, and he's
yeah,
got,
but like
this-
but like he does it on purpose, and it's all a master manipulation plan.
I see.
He wants people to think that about him, but he's actually just moving them around like chess pieces.
Okay. That makes it even better. You just enhanced my pick. I'm trying to think of what the dude's name is who's all filthy all the time. Pigpen. I think.
Oh, right.
Which one? Who could be Pigpen? Wolverine or one of the Morlocks? What Morlock could be Pigpen?
Again, I don't know how to not just go to non-costumed characters. That one is Bibbo from Death of Superman. to
Oh, I don't
me.
even know who that
The
is.
guy who runs a bar and is obsessed with Superman and calls him his favorite. And yeah, that's who that is.
All right. Well, thank you, Blue Dragon 5, for the very unique question. We have not got that one before. I can say that with confidence.
202 shows. Somehow that never came up. All right, moving
Uh,
right along.
Daniel Davis, Cap,
Yeah.
what was the first R-rated movie you can remember seeing?
Wow. I can tell you the first, the first horror film or thriller of any kind I ever saw, and that was Child's Play,
Hmm.
which I saw way younger than I should have. But I definitely rated R stuff before that. I think I saw. I remember a kid, like I went to some kid's house, and he showed me clips from Total Recall, but we didn't watch the entire movie. It might be that the first full rated R movie I saw was RoboCop, because I saw that really early and then not again until I was an adult. So it might be RoboCop.
Nice. I know easily.
What is it for you?
The first R-rated movie I saw was Watchmen when I was in high school, because I didn't watch R-rated movies.
You didn't
when I
watch
was a
R-rated
kid.
movies at all before that?
No, I was goody two shoes. My mom, bless her, she doesn't watch movies. She doesn't care about movies. She knows nothing about. But my dad is a huge Bruce Lee fan. And one
Yeah.
time, my dad was at work. My mom was like leaving, and she had to run out of the house and go to work too. And she put on, I don't even know which one it was. She was like, "Here, grabbed one of my dad's Bruce Lee movies, put it in for me," and
Oops.
which of course is rated R. She didn't know, and she just threw it in. And then it started playing, and there was violence that I didn't want to see, and then it showed a woman's breast, and I was like, I'm not supposed to watch this, and I turned it off, and I just played with my toys or something.
But it wasn't her rushing back into the room. It was you going, I'm not interested in this.
Yeah, she had left. She had left the house. I was home alone.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I was like maybe 10 or 11 at this point, and I was like, yeah, I'm not supposed to watch this. I'll turn it off.
That reminds me of a
I was that kind of kid.
That reminds me of a Brian Regan joke. Daddy, put something on that's appropriate for me.
That was me. That was me as a kid. All right, what's
That's great.
next? We got
Watale says Jason's first rated R movie, Deadpool. No, I let him see Terminator 2 before that, and there might have been even one or two other like softer R things that I've let him see before that. Well, Demolition Man is R, I do believe, and that's his favorite movie.
Oh, there you go.
As we learned, spoiler alert, as we learned last night on his top 12 favorite movies video. And quick plug for that, next week on Father and Son on Wednesday, we're going to be doing Jason's least favorite 12 movies. And I am stoked to find out what's on that list.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I was enjoying your video. I haven't finished it yet, but I like that video. I'll have to check out the sequel coming to stores next Friday. Or
Catherine
Wednesday.
Hall watching Father and Son yesterday. I was surprised to see some things that you let Jason watch. Yeah, maybe revealing too much about myself and how I'm raising my children there. You have to, I mean, I've said this many times before, but you have to base as a parent everything on, I think, on a kid's mental age before you base it on their physical age. Like, just how mature do you think they are? What do you think they can handle? What are they going to get out of a thing? The pros and cons of it. I've let Jason watch certain episodes of even AVGN going back the last 2 or 3 years, but with me. And obviously there's a lot of vulgarity and gross humor and stuff like that. But the sense of humor is so good in that, and Jason loves video game stuff and video game history, that I decided at a point that he was ready for those as long as I was there with him, and the pros outweighed the cons. So I don't know. I think as long as a parent is really paying attention to what their kid is seeing, and especially with things like that, watching it with him, and then being able to have a discussion or answer questions or engage him, is much different than, frankly, what DJ was describing with his mother just putting on a very violent movie and walking away. Not that she realized it, but...
Yeah. She doesn't care for movies. The weirdest thing happened this last Thanksgiving where we were watching what's that Thanksgiving movie? Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And her and my dad were like watching it together, and she was laughing a lot. I was like, "What's happening? What's happening?" I left the house and now she likes movies. What's
Did
going
you
on?
think it was possession? Some entity had embodied your mother, and like, you're not my mom.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. All right, well, we got three super chats in. I'll pop over and then we can jump back
Let's
to
do that.
some of those more earlier questions. TH1, $2. Have you been wanting? I'm assuming he means watching Moon Knight, and if so, thoughts?
I have not started Moon Knight yet. I've been
I
real
haven't
busy this
either.
last week with other things in the evenings and have not been really watching anything except for stuff for request. So, yeah, hoping over the weekend to go ahead and get the first episode knocked out of that. And then I can revisit that and mention it on next week's show. Might do a review at some point, might not. I'm not promising reviews on any of that stuff. It's kind of just based on, with as limited as my time is, I'm basing everything on just what I feel like really talking about right now. And so I guess some movies, if even if I'm not totally sure I'm gonna like them, like Morbius, if I go, I'll go ahead and plan a video. Like I don't know, just the train wreck that is the Sony Spider-Man shared universe without Spider-Man. I kind of have to know. Like I didn't have any real expectations or hopes for that movie, but it was fun to talk about nevertheless. And anyway, so yeah, I'm definitely going to start watching Moon Knight. I'm hearing real mixed things. Some folks in our circles and some of my friends are real happy with it, and other people are really confused as to why people are really happy with it. And I'm curious to see what that ends up looking like. I don't have a huge dog in the Moon Knight fight. I've read, I've dabbled in Moon Knight here and there. I've never finished an entire run, even of that book, DJ. When I was
Yeah.
buying and reading new comics regularly, I think I dabbled in Moon Knight in 3 different runs and would stick around. Particularly, what was it? Was it Garth Ennis that had a run on Moon Knight? And I read
I
like
remember when you reviewed some of that.
6 or 8 issues of that and was really liking it. And I think he left kind of early, so I think he did maybe like an arc or 2 and then jumped ship and I quit. I think this has been years now, so I'm not sure if I'm remembering this correctly. But then the one before that, when the different voices in his head, because Moon Knight has a multiple personality thing, dissociative identity. He those were taking the form of, I should say, Avengers, and that was a lot of fun. And I thought that was a thing that if they could have somehow managed to get certain actors back, DJ, it would have been a real coup to crib specifically from that stuff and make that the one time we bring back some actors that have already left. Like that would be a time where you could get away with doing it, and I don't think people would be would cry foul as hard. Where it's like you'd never be able to do it. But if you could get Downey to come back as just a voice in Moon Knight's head, that would be really pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. And he could just literally call it in these days and just make it sound the same.
Well, you'd have to have a visual component. I mean, it's not just voices. Like that's always visualized. And
Okay.
from what I've heard, they're also doing the same thing in the TV show, where like the different personalities. Because I think usually Mark Spector is able to kind of, or at least in the little stuff that I've read, I can't believe I remembered his name. He'll
Yay.
he'll be in kind of like a dark room in his own head where
Okay.
it's like a conference room or like an AA meeting or something, and
Yeah. I've
he's
seen panels where there's like people standing
yeah, and he's
around and
talking
like
to the people in his
yeah.
head. Now, I'm not saying it actually would have made a lot of sense to do it that way, because the reason Mark Spector had Avengers in his head before was because, if memory serves, he was an Avenger for a brief time and he actually knew those people. So it would be
Yeah.
kind of strange to do it if he didn't know them. But still, if you could contrive a way, that's one of the few ways I can think of that you could maybe get away with bringing back actors that you've already gotten rid of when people don't want to see them, resurrected, or some kind of contrived way to get Captain America back, even for just a little while. And considering, how hard we're pushing nostalgia right now and bringing back things that you've seen before in my opinion, kind of forced ways with multiverse, there's every reason to think that that they're going to try real hard to make that happen with some characters that we've already gotten rid of. That's one way you could do it, and I wouldn't immediately cry foul.
Mm. Yeah, I'm excited to check it out. I know we both like things with multiple personality
Warren
disorders.
Ellis, that's who it was. I couldn't remember if it was Ellis or Ennis. That's how long it's been since I read
Uh,
that.
Ellis Ennis, pretty close. But yeah, we both. I mean, we reviewed we reviewed the whole fifth season of Bates Motel. We love that kind of stuff. So I'm
Oh
hoping I
yes,
like
of
it.
course.
All right. Next super chat is from the Real Warzog. As a writer, are you a plotter or a panther? Also, any advice on dealing with writer's block or burnout on a piece?
I guess I don't know what panther means. Is this a standard term that I am not familiar with? I would assume he means plotting as opposed to making it up as you go along, but maybe I apologize. I don't actually know what that means. Are you looking this up, DJ?
Yeah, I was gonna try to help you out, but his second part
I appreciate it.
is about tips for writer's block or burnout on a piece.
So the way I've always tackled or dealt with writer's block is simply get away from a thing for. I get both of these things, like burnout and not having an idea immediately for something you want to write, or having some kind of a block somewhere in the fiction, especially because of the way I take on projects, because I don't wait until the spirit moves me. I somewhat meticulously will, or at least this is the way I do it now, and it's been a while, but when I decide to do a project, it's all in. It's what I'm engaged in until I'm finished. And I'll try to write 2 hours a day, or pick a word count and write to the word count. So either you get to the word count or the 2 hours are up. And if I get writer's block in the middle of that, what I would, or hit some kind of a roadblock where you're just not sure where to go next, what I would, or just it's not coming out right. What I would tend to do is keep working at it for a couple of days and hope that I'll get to that out of body experience kind of place, and then it'll kind of work itself out. And that's what usually would happen, where like I'd have to struggle and struggle for a good half hour, 45 minutes, and then all of a sudden something kicks in because I'm it's basically me kind of internally talking to my protagonist in a way. Like, not literally. Like, I'm not actually talking to the characters that I'm writing, but I mean, I'm real character driven. I let the characters take me in the places they're going to take me, and I do all my world building through that. So if that's not happening, I'll spend a couple of days continuing to try to do it that way, and if it's just not working out, I'll just have to take a little bit of time off from it. And I'll pick a couple days and I'll do something very, very different and try to get it as far away from my mind as possible. It's usually the same way I get through video game levels I'm stuck on, because I'm so bad at video games. If I'm working at it, DJ, for like a couple hours and I'm just stuck in a place and I cannot figure out what you're supposed to do in that level, I'll never get past it. But if I go watch some movies or do something else for a while and come back to it, very often the next time I sit down and start playing, I'll just walk right over the thing that I couldn't get past. Oh, that's how you do that. Okay. Without any kind of research, and he just, oh, all right. I guess I was just too close to it. And that happens with writing as well.
Oh yeah, that absolutely happens with design too. You get too in your head focused on something you work on, go work on a different project for a little bit, or go for a walk, come back, and you can see it in a whole different way.
And same thing with burnout. Now, if you're so that's straight up writer's block. Similarly but different. If you're burnt out on one project, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're burnt out on writing in general. And sometimes it can help to switch projects for a while or do something, because I hate to suggest that you start a bunch of things and leave things unfinished. Because, like I said, I'm most productive when I'm making myself sit down and do a lot of the work at the desk, as opposed to in my head when I'm walking around. Not that some of the work doesn't happen that way, because it does, but by and large, the majority of the actual, productive work happens when I'm sitting at the desk and letting that, again, out-of-body experience happen. So do a short story or something. Write something else for a while. Let yourself feel productive, because I think a lot of the challenge is just the intimidation of the blank page and then feeling like you're not accomplishing anything. And then when you get back to it and you have that feeling of accomplishment, you've got something else to show for it, but also it's the same thing as, going off and living life and doing something else when you have, straight up writer's block. You've been in another place for a while, and when you come back to it, it might seem easier. So that's my general advice with that.
So I did find it
Might be different case by case, but yeah. So what's a panther? What is that?
On a blog called the Right Type Multi-Author Musings. It's actually pantster. I think it auto-corrected.
Oh, I see.
A plotter
Okay.
or a pantster. So if you're
I don't
flying
know
by
what
the
that
seat
means either.
flying by the seat of your pants.
Oh, I see.
Like just on the fly. But this article is also called plotter, pantster, or panther. So this guy also like made up another one, which is I think a complete coincidence. I think it just auto-corrected what he was saying.
That's wild. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it is
pantster.
what I was talking about.
Yeah, you had it right.
Yeah, I completely fly by the seat of my... Well, I can't say completely. So I write toward an ending. I've talked about this before, so forgive me, everybody that's heard me give this spiel before. But I'm not an outliner. I do tend to have... I do think about what I'm working on when I'm doing other things. And so ideas will hit me like, wouldn't it be interesting if this situation arose, or with this character that I've created, it would be really natural for him to make this decision wherever I am in the piece, and then other scenes start kind of presenting themselves to me. But very importantly, and this is just my own process, everybody's gonna be different, but I've never disparaged people that do outline over making it up as you go along like I do, because a lot of this is about your own personality and the way you're wired, and kind of almost like a right brain left brain thing. Some people that are more like mathematically inclined are much more likely to be outliners, I think. People that just think more systematically. Still really creative people, but like the way they structure things that they create is very different from the way I do, because it all kind of like comes together as I'm going along, and I feel like I'm going along with the protagonist and like reading the piece at the same time as the reader is reading the piece, as opposed to, it's the difference between like constructing a building and like walking through a building and imagining it as you go along. Like I think the way I operate is like looking at a 64-bit level in the Mario, or in like the Nintendo 64 era, DJ, where like you're doing a driving game and you're seeing the level like auto-populate itself as you're driving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where like the background's not there already, you're seeing it appear. That's how I write. I don't want to know, or I can't know like everything that's gonna be there before I start working on any given part of it, because then it's going to be stale and stagnant and forced. I have to let the characters take me where they're going to take them, or where they're going to take me, and that's how I operate.
Well, sweet, fantastic answer, great question. Next from John Ty.
Yeah.
Would it be appropriate to describe Fantastic Four as Star Trek and Guardians of the Galaxy as Star Wars?
Interesting.
Little comparison.
I gotta give a little bit of thought to that. I mean, I guess the easy answer is I can see how you're getting there with the types of stories that each of those things tends to gravitate toward, but there's still plenty of magic that ends up happening in both of those things, and there's also plenty of science fiction that ends up happening in both of those things. Like, I think Fantastic Four has as much science fantasy in it as it ends up having science fiction.
Yeah. Well, and it's like
Like,
it's
overall, I
it
mean,
can also be the swashbuckling kind of running around thing that Guardians and Star Wars can be too sometimes.
yeah,
But
that's
but I
true.
think it would go to more like the stuff with Richard or Reed and his son. What's his son? Is it Richard? What's his son's name?
Franklin Richards.
Franklin Richards. Yeah,
Hmm.
that like I know that stuff gets more science fiction heavy, which would more closer than Guardians, I would think.
But even a lot of the early stuff, I mean, Galactus is a wholly science fiction idea.
Hmm. And
You
so is
know,
the Mole Man.
um, but
I
yeah,
like
no,
I
that's
like Mole
interesting. I've
Man.
never really thought about it like that.
Yeah, that's a cool comparison. Thanks, John Ty. Good to see you back in the super chats. Love hearing from you. Brandon Menino, 199.
That's a name I don't recognize either.
Thoughts on the Batman Dying is Easy short film?
I don't know what that is.
It must be a new thing because some people were chiming in the
My
chat saying they loved it.
apologies. And not a fan thing? Is that like a
Um,
fan film thing, or I've not heard
I
about this?
I first immediately thought fan film when he said short film, but maybe not.
Yeah, I'll look into it. In the words of Batman in Batman Begins, I'll look into it.
He'll look into Batman Dying is Easy. Oh, here we go. Thomas Lowe, 86. Spawn Year
So
is
that just
almost
came out. Sorry, I want to look at this. Yeah, it looks like it is
sure,
a
sure.
fan film thing. Superhero fan
Cool.
film. Is this another Bat in the Sun thing? It looks like it could be.
Oh, so it's Batman fighting Jason David Frank?
No, Bat in the Sun was doing a lot of short films and especially Batman stuff well before that. There were like actually like City of Scars was them,
Yeah, yeah.
and this looks like a City of Scars type thing. Sorry, I didn't know if you were familiar with them before. This is Bat in the Sun, yeah. No, I haven't watched this yet. Um,
Cool.
yeah, I I have a hard time getting excited about Bat in the Sun stuff after City of Scars because that was simultaneously really impressive visually and had some good ideas story wise, and then was just too ambitious and too big for its britches at the end. And then they tried to continue a continuity with that, and I don't know if this is part of that or if this is like technically a separate thing. Costume looks, I was gonna say kind of similar, but
City of Scars.
yeah, I think that might even be the same bat symbol, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I couldn't get. I mean, spoiler alert for City of Scars, a fan film that came out a decade ago. But I just couldn't get excited about looking at more of that after they had the audacity to invent their own Batman continuity and then kill off the Joker immediately. I just didn't feel like they quite earned that, and it was hard to get excited about anything after that. But I think I actually did watch their next movie and wasn't impressed with it. But it's been a while. I don't remember anything about it. So because I'm trying to remember, like, was this their sequel to that the thing that had Scarface in it, or was that actually in City of Scars? I can't even remember now. It's been so many years. I mean, the last time I watched that was when I did a rewind on it. I did a fan film
Oh, you don't have to remember it because
unit,
it's
but yeah.
immortalized on the internet forever. So those are my opinions. I can wipe them from my mind.
that's that's how I'd like to operate. But then I also always feel weird when I've said things on camera and I cannot remember what. It's like, hey Cap, what's your opinion on this? I'm like, let me go back and listen to myself. I'll find out.
Oh, yeah, hold on. Let me play it real quick while I fix my coffee, and I'll let
Oh
you know my
right,
opinion.
that's what I think. And of course, I might not actually think that if I went back and watched it again because a lot has happened since then. I mean, since City of Scars,
Different person.
I've had three different kids.
Yeah,
Two of them at the same time, but
yeah. That's a 2-for-1 deal. Thomas Lowe,
a lot of
86.
people said Terminator 2 was their first rated R movie.
Oh, nice. T2. Still haven't seen that, so it wasn't mine.
Oh, you gotta. It's wonderful. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. Spawn Year is almost 10 years
I
old.
know.
Just right to express my appreciation for an amazing project that is.
Oh, thanks. I really appreciate that. I'm feeling old. I really am. It's very strange to think that we're at very nearly we're a year and a half away from the 10th anniversary of Spawn year. I want to do something in 2024 to commemorate that. I'm not sure what yet. I will say
Geekvolution Con. Everyone, let's do it.
Stop
Let's
announcing things. I've been talking about doing a Geekvolution convention of some kind, or for years, or trying to get people to meet us at a like event within another convention. That's a thing I've thought about doing for a long time. And I've also kicked around like renting out a movie theater.
Yes. And watching Batman '89 and doing a live commentary.
Doing a live commentary on something. Yeah, get a microphone rig up and invite.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
Invite you.
If we had like a panel up there,
yeah, and do a big Q&A afterwards. Maybe even like make it a live show. So like we've got a lot of podcasts are doing. But then you can watch it if you couldn't make it. Although that might not incentivize enough people to actually show up for it. So maybe we wouldn't do it that way. I don't know.
A lot of podcasts do that these days. Like they'll just go to an event and have a live show for people, and they'll just record an episode of the podcast in front of everybody.
I have a project I'm kicking around that I don't want to officially announce yet, DJ, because I don't 100% know yet if it's going to come together. I'm starting to get serious about it. Did you remember on the 200th episode?
No, I remember nothing. That show just
fair enough. No. That was 4.5 hours DJ would like back.
No, it was a blast. I loved it.
It was a lot of fun. No, we had a caller. First time we took calls, we had a caller who asked if I had anything like the documentary or Spawn Year or anything in the works.
Yes.
And I said, not right now because, I'm taking care of 5 kids and stuff, but in a couple of years, I'd like to do something on that level. And then the weekend after that, I went to a pinball convention and met my good buddy Aaron Hickman there from the Genesis Gems podcast. He's been on the channel several times. And Aaron and I are talking about a documentary project that may be filming in 2024, but I don't want to reveal yet what it's about or what exactly that would be in case it doesn't come together, because I'm going to have to make a lot of phone calls and make sure that there's enough interest in the people that we would have to interview to do it in order to make that movie. Because if nobody wants to do it, then there is no movie. I mean, the same thing we had, of course, with Midwestern Panels. But so there could be a 10th anniversary, like, sort of follow-up to Midwestern Panels in some way. Nobody get too excited because it won't be about comics. It would be about something else. But there's a good chance that might happen. As far as the narrative Spawn Year type thing, I want to do something like that again at some point, and I want to do something for Spawn Year, but it wouldn't be, Spawn Year 2 or anything like that. But some kind of review project maybe, or something specifically just about Spawn Year itself as a project. I don't know yet, but I'm kicking different things around.
Spawn Year : Let There Be Carnage.
I thought about doing some kind of like one-shot like revisit thing where you pretend like you had a lost episode of Spawn Year, or where it's like
that's cool.
Almost like an April Fool's type joke where we do Spawn Year again, but it's not actually real. It was all a dream this time, like the original show was supposed to be, but then it got too away from itself. Yeah, so I've had ideas. I've even thought about this I might do. I've even thought about reviewing some of the more recent Spawn stuff since the book mysteriously got popular again for no good reason, and see what some of those spin-offs are like, and just do that. Would all just be kind of off the cuff stuff, but I could do something like a Spawn month that's like Tick Month was, but it's completely off the cuff and all live, and I don't know that anybody would care, but that would be a way to kind of celebrate that anniversary.
I think you should just mash the ideas together and do Midwest and Spawn, and just talk to Midwesterners about what they think about Spawn.
Spawnville?
Just go start talking to people about Spawn. Most people are just like, what is Spawn?
That sounds awesome. That should be my next documentary, where but it's like 15 minutes long. You just walk up to people and you're like, so who's your favorite character in Spawn? The heck is Spawn? What do you think of Cygor? Cygor. Are you... pick between these. Do you prefer the term psychoplasm or necroplasm? The hell are you talking about?
Come on, are you a psychoplasm man or a necroplasm guy? I gotta know. I think you're probably on some kind of substance.
Hey, anti-spawn or redeemer?
It's just like a word association game. See what people say. See what people respond to that.
you just say names of Spawn characters and see what the first thing somebody comes up with. Sangsker. The what? The heck is that? Suture.
Oh. Well, a lot of those words are uncomfortable, so that would be great.
Oh man. Well, thanks a lot for that. It made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And now let's continue on.
Next, we got Josh Galisano. What's up, Josh? Good to see you here. $5. If you were to write for Marvel and DC Comics, would you create any new characters, or would you rather play with the toy box Marvel and DC have?
Bit of both. I would want to have my cake and eat it too.
Bit of both.
I don't know that. I mean, I'm saying this not being in the situation, because you don't know what you'd really do until you had an offer. Like, I've said for years that I don't really have any ambition for working in mainstream comics because of how limiting it is, and horror stories I've heard and things like that, where it's like, I don't know, how creative of a endeavor does that end up being, or is it just a lot of, and it just depends on, you know, the office you're working for and the, you know, the editors that are in charge and all of that. But like, how much of that would end up just being like, I write a script, I send it back, they act like 75% of it, send it back, make me totally rewrite it, send it back to them, and then ultimately at the end of the day, even when the thing gets published, it doesn't look anything like the thing I wrote in the first place. Like, that doesn't sound like fun.
Yeah.
I'd rather put out a thing for the 500 or 1,000 people I can maybe get to look at it online for free without having to pay me than get a paycheck for a thing that, you know, maybe 50,000 copies come out for, but my name's on it and I'm not even happy with it. Like,
yeah, and then none of the fans will take any of that into consideration. They'll just blame you because your name's on it.
Yeah, is it worth the compromise? Because then he's a bad writer. You weren't there. You don't even know if I was the writer. This happens in comics just like, maybe not as much or as bad, but just like it happens in TV and movies, where like the person whose name is on it is not necessarily responsible for all the stuff you didn't like about it. Or they might be, but they have their hands so far tied behind their back that, like, good luck having it not look like that.
Yeah, definitely.
You know? But anyway, so yeah, I guess where I was going with all that,
in the sky,
DJ,
like, if you had your druthers, like...
Yeah, where I was going with all that was to say that I want to say I wouldn't even take a job writing for DC or Marvel unless they said you are allowed to make up characters. Whether or not, like, I have any ownership of them, or like they have them immediately after that and don't have to give me royalties, however that whole thing would work out, and, you know, I don't even know right away how I would feel about all of that, because there's a part of me that would just, if I created a great character and then it got adapted in a good way, that would be more important to me than, you know, the royalties and what I got paid. But at the same time, I don't like when that happens to creators either. So, you know, I feel worse for them than I think I would for myself, where, like, I care a lot more about just, you know, the exposure of it, you know, my work getting out there, again, if it's uncompromised and it's what I was happy with, so that if anybody doesn't like it, I can go, well, I was responsible for all the things you didn't like, you know. But yeah, so I would want the option to be able to create my own characters. But no, I wouldn't want to go to DC or Marvel and then pitch a brand new character and put that on the shelves. Partly because I don't trust myself to come up with a thing that doesn't accidentally look really derivative of something else, especially with superhero stuff, and because I don't know why I'm going to DC or Marvel unless I get to play with the characters I like. Yeah. You know, so I would want to be able to create, like, some new supporting cast characters and things like that potentially. For instance, I don't have a love interest with Batman that I'm particularly super in love with myself. So like a lot of, you know, classic Batman writers would come in and come up with their own love interests, I would probably do that too if I was telling a love story at all, for example. Or I might be more likely to just reinvent characters that nobody currently cares about. And that's of course a path that a lot of writers take as well. But
Well, let me cough right when I turn my mic back on. All right.
I was wondering about that.
I was about to ask a question, and then it just
It's like I can tell you were
sneaked
using,
right up.
I can tell you were using your mute button. That your timing was just all off.
The cough's timing. Blame the cough. Mutale, back to some normal chat questions from earlier. Have you or DJ seen Turning Red yet?
No, I have not seen that movie. I'm hearing a lot of mixed things about that too.
I have actually seen that
you
one.
have? Okay, what did you think of it?
I have. I liked it. It was a mixed bag for me. I thought the metaphor was great. I really liked what they did with the metaphor. It's like a metaphor movie, but I feel like the metaphor became the movie, and then there was.
That's what I was worried about.
With no care as to what that world it goes bonkers at the end, and
Really?
I don't know how that world just goes back to normal after this. But
interesting. Okay.
But I appreciated it. It's not really. I think it's more. You can tell it's like it's a very specific personal story that I think the director wanted to tell, and I was excited to see it because I loved her short film Bow, which played before Incredibles 2, I think. And which is the one about the little dumplings, but
yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, it was great, and it looks good. Obviously, it's Pixar, and then I really liked it. It didn't resonate with me as much, and my wife liked it less than me, and it seemed like it was more aimed toward her. So I don't know. Take that for what it's worth, but it's very much for like not aimed at like or not. I don't think that's the wrong way to say it. It's not aimed at 90s women, but it's made by a woman who lived through that and is telling that story.
Oh,
so it can generate with. Yeah, it takes place in 2002. But anyway,
I'm hearing people say that it feels weird to show it to kids under a certain age, but I've not seen it, so I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that. It's like about preteen girls coming into puberty and
some people aren't happy about that
with boys and stuff.
It seems like an inappropriate thing to throw at kids before they're like emotionally ready for it.
Yeah.
And so I heard that and was like a little bit leery of it, but I've not seen it, so I don't have.
Yeah, I think it's classy, but I don't think it's gross or anything. But I could totally see that as a concern. I don't know, like where's the line? Like, does Pixar only have to make audiences or movies that like 6-year-old audience can watch? That's an interesting thing. I never thought about that.
I think if it has the word Pixar attached to it, people are going to assume that it's an all audiences movie. So if it isn't, they've got to work harder to make it clear who the audience is supposed to be. Yeah. And maybe at the very least, like I was a little surprised that movie got a G, or did it? Did it get a PG? I thought it got a G, but I haven't. I mean, I haven't seen it. I haven't looked deeply into it, and all I know is what a couple of people have told me about it.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I never really thought about that because I've grown up since I started watching Pixar movies. But yeah, like I haven't shown my son any of the Pixar movies yet, except for he's seen Cars and The Good Dinosaur. But yeah, and those are definitely for younger kids. But yeah, I guess that's kind of unfortunate because that kind of hamstrings them if they can't tell certain stories that they want to tell.
Think they should be hamstrung. But I do think. Well, how often do you say that in the past tense?
Not often. It's not your fault.
But I do think that they have a particular reputation, and so they maybe have to be a little bit more strategic about how they advertise movies. And that seemed like a thing that they just sort of slapped on Disney Plus and was like, "Yep, there's a new Pixar movie out." The end. Like I never heard anything about it.
I don't know why they're doing that.
I didn't see a trailer, but I mean, I haven't been going to the movie theater much.
I saw the trailer a couple times.
Well, I guess I would assume that there weren't trailers for it at theaters because maybe there were. I don't know.
There were. Yeah. Okay. I saw the trailer in theaters a couple times.
Just knowing that it was a simultaneous release, I wasn't sure if they would even put trailers.
Yeah, I really don't like that they're slapping those on Disney Plus. They did the same thing with Luca. They did the same thing with Soul. They just keep dropping those on Disney Plus. Like Pixar's not one of their best properties. I don't know why they're doing that.
Yeah, that's not fair to Pixar. I would be more okay with it if they were doing with everything.
Yeah, but they're not. Encanto and Raya went to theaters first.
That's weird.
So weird.
Why are they prioritizing their own animated house before Pixar. It's very strange.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like, I don't know why they think that those are bigger draws for audiences than Pixar movies. Maybe they are. Maybe it's because of what those last couple projects have been, where they just assume that they don't have big mainstream appeal. Like, would this have happened with Up if Up had come out during COVID? Because that was a movie that they clearly had a real hard time figuring out how to sell. Like, would this have happened with Inside Out? Like, what a weird movie to
I
try
don't know
to
though,
sell
because
to
I feel like
people.
Soul could have been pretty big, and that was in the heart of COVID, so I guess that one makes more sense. But it's weird that they're still doing it.
But Soul was another one of those, kind of like what you're describing with Turning Red. More kind of
Yeah,
intimate, personal
definitely.
sort of movies, and I could see them going like, okay, it's about a middle-aged guy that plays jazz music, that teaches jazz music.
Yeah.
Okay, and also they might have even been thinking like, maybe some audiences are going to be turned off by the afterlife stuff, by it being. I haven't thought about this movie in a while.
I haven't seen it. That's the only Pixar movie I haven't seen.
Having a movie where the protagonist ostensibly dies in the first 5 minutes. But that went to Disney Plus at the time that it did, because a lot of people were still in lockdown and theaters weren't open. Like that. It was the first movie for Pixar that came out after. Help
Onward.
me out. What?
Onward.
Onward. Thank you. I couldn't think of it. And that was the last movie I saw before COVID happened in the theater.
I saw that on Disney Plus. Last movie I saw before COVID happened was Birds of Prey.
That's unfortunate. That's the last movie my wife saw, and that's the last movie and my wife hasn't been to the theater since then, unfortunately. All right, let's go ahead and continue on, shall we?
All right, no more super. Oh, we did get one more super chat in from Nicholas Robinson. Some of
Hi
your
there.
favorite sci-fi shows other than TNG.
Favorite sci-fi shows other than TNG? Well, I have to put in the caveat that I have not been keeping up with television science fiction for several years, and I need to get back to that. A lot of what's on these days is not kid-friendly and difficult, and I'm not knocking that, of course, but there's a lot of things that I've been wanting to try to get into that I can't watch with my kids around, and so I have to be really selective about what I'm looking at when late at night, with the little time that I have to watch shows. So anyway, I'll get back to. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time thinking of names of things that I haven't looked at a lot. But there's a couple of shows that I started and haven't gotten back to. But anyway, so I am a kind of casual Stargate fan. I was going back through SG-1 when it was still streaming anywhere. That got dropped off of Netflix and was it Hulu, I think, and everywhere else that it was at. And for the first time in 12 years or something, that show was not streaming anywhere. Luckily, it's really cheap to buy on DVD. I just haven't done it yet. But anyway, so I had seen bits and pieces of that and had never gone through that show start to finish. So I was doing that, and I was up through part of season 4, and I was really 3 or 4, and I was really enjoying it. And then I dropped off for whatever reason, and I need to get back to that. Atlantis I've seen all of, and I like that show quite a bit. Universe is weird, and I never finished because it just wanted to be Battlestar Galactica right after Battlestar Galactica, which is also a show that I like, but I'm not a huge fan of. But let me think a second. Babylon 5 is now, and I still haven't finished it, I've got one more season left to go, is probably, in my mind, the best science fiction show ever made, as far as space opera stuff. And it hurts me to say that it's better than Deep Space Nine, but it really is, and I still stand by that. So anyway, there's a couple of things, specifically space shows and stuff.
Cool. Thanks for that super chat, Nicholas. Interesting question there. Good answer. We've got, what do we got? Back to the front, as we are out of Super chats. Daniel Davis. Oh, here we go. This is a fun one. What's your scariest theme
Oh,
park
Expanse was the show I
experience?
was trying to think of that I keep trying to go back to and still just have not been able to
Yeah.
get in the right mood for it. That show was so dark and depressing, but it's beautiful.
That's cool.
Anyway, sorry
What
about
is
that.
your scariest theme park experience? Daniel Davis remembers being horrified for his life when his brother tricked him into going on a log ride and then was dropped and it was fine.
And it was fine. That sounds like so. That's a question that comes from a very specific personal experience. I gotta be honest. I've never been a big theme park person. Not that I don't like them. Okay, I just didn't grow up in an area with major ones. We have Worlds of
Yeah, you're
Fun
kind of
out here in Kansas
landlocked.
City, which is a cool enough theme park, but I got tired of it as a like teenager after I'd been there like 3 years in a row. There's not enough going on there, and it's not a theme that I'm super into, and it's not. I mean, it's a pretty generic theme. Like
Theme
it's
park theme.
yeah, pretty much. It's kind of the areas of that are broken up into kind of like areas of the real world,
Ah,
and
like
that's
Epcot.
fun enough, I guess. But so my favorite ride from there, and it's I mean, some of it's just a nostalgia thing. It's one of my earliest memories is going on this ride. But they have a ride at Worlds of Fun called Fury of the Nile, which is a water ride where you're on DJ this kind of raft thing that you can make spin around, and it's kind of a water rapid kind of thing, but it has an Egyptian theme, and you go through like a pyramid tunnel, and there's like water that comes down from that, and it's great. And every time I go there, it's the only thing I want to do, and like I would ride that ride 20 times in a row if I could, and not do anything else at that theme park because I love that ride so much. But as far as like scary experiences, nothing's jumping out at me really. I don't recall ever being scared at a theme park.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a roller coaster guy. I do like theme parks a lot. I like rides a lot, but I'm not a roller coaster guy. I just don't like that drop feeling. I'm incapable of just letting it happen. Like whenever you go down, I like tense up really tight in my stomach, and it just makes it even worse. Um, but I rode the Scream Machine at Six Flags one time with my dad when we first moved down to Georgia, and that is like a super old roller coaster made of wood that goes like really, 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 really high and straight down, and it was horrible, horrible experience. Not only was it
Wow.
terrible going down, but then I thought the ride was gonna fall apart. Like it's like because it's all made of wood and it's super old.
Well,
It's
see,
pretty
Worlds
sketchy.
of Fun has a coaster like that, and I don't know if it's still running because I haven't looked into it in a long time. I haven't been there in a long time. But now that you say that, I mean, I guess that would qualify. But like, I didn't actually think it was gonna fall apart. It is weird riding like an old wooden coaster. But they have a coaster. Man, what is the name? It's been too long. Oh, the Timberwolf. That's what it is. Uh, and that's one of the coolest roller coasters I've ever been on, of the few coasters I've been on. But like I guess that would qualify. As far as rides go, I guess the scariest thing was at it was actually at a state fair when I was like 9 or 10. Like the first time or maybe a little older, the first time I ever went upside down in anything, and it was uh, one of those rides, DJ, where you're in like a small cage thing
Oh,
where the ride it's on like big bars, and the bars themselves go around like this, but then the cage thing you're in also spins independently of that, and
oh, that sounds fun.
I didn't like that at all because you didn't feel like not only do you not have any control of it, but you don't feel like anybody else has control of it either. Like at any point, you might just like spin right off that thing because, like I said, it spins independently. So like the you got a bar that's going around like this, and then you're in a thing that you might tip all the way over, and you might not, and yeah, I don't like that feeling at all. But that wasn't at a theme park.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It's called the Great American Scream Machine, Six Flags Over Georgia. It goes up 104 feet. It goes 57 miles per hour, and it was built in 1973.
Wow.
It was
I think the
terrifying.
Timberwolf was built in like the early mid '80s, maybe.
Uh, but no, man, we have got to schedule a trip to Universal Studios.
Yeah.
Like me and you or anyone who wants to come who loves comic stuff. Like it kills me that you've never been. Have you been to the Marvel Land there?
No, I mean, I've never been to any park in Florida.
I gotta take you there because I'm afraid it's gonna be shut down soon. Like eventually they're
That's a
gonna
good
get the
point.
rights back and they're gonna have their own Marvel thing in Florida and Universal's gonna have to tear all that down at some point, I
Well,
think.
and it sucks because I'm actually going there in a couple of months for a dance competition that Jason's got, but we're not going to have enough time to spend time at parks.
Ah,
I was hoping maybe we could go to one, and then I was looking at prices and things, and I was like, it's not going to be worth it to only go anywhere for one day. And I don't think there's any chance that I'd have time to go more than one day anywhere.
yeah. Yeah. If you could get a good deal, I think you could do Islands of Adventure in one day, which is where Marvel Land is. But yeah, you there's a lot of Universal stuff that you'd want to hit too, like the Simpsons ride and the Terminator 2 ride and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would much prefer to do it when I could just go there, and that's the thing we do. Like,
Hmm. But yeah, that'd be really fun. I'd love to do that with you. I've been there a couple times because I'm only like 6 hours away from it.
yeah,
I've been, but
let's talk about that. All we're doing is announcing things tonight. But yeah, we should talk about that as well. I thought it was really funny when you were like, anybody else that likes comic stuff? Like, yeah, let's just invite the entire live audience on the Captain Logan show to come with us. What could possibly go
I
wrong?
mean, we could say meet us there and we'll hang out for a minute. Like, we're not gonna pay your trip, but but yeah, that'd be fun. I don't know. I've never gone to a theme park with like a friend from another state and just like met there. That'd be a fun thing to do.
Slipmaker says the Jurassic House coaster looks like one of the best coasters in the world. Well, naturally. I mean,
Oh,
it's
and
based on a movie that's just a theme park ride in the first place.
we'd have to ride the Jurassic Park ride at Universal Studios,
I've
which I
always
have
wanted to do
ridden,
that.
and it's just a log ride, but it starts and it goes through the jungle first, like in a river, and there's like animatronic dinosaurs and stuff, and then it gets to the tip at the top of the thing, and the T-Rex pops out right before you drop straight down. That one freaked me out. I didn't like that one.
That's cool.
It's a straight drop, but yeah,
I'm sad the Back to the Future ride's not there anymore. I've always wanted to get on that.
yeah. That is the problem with theme parks. Things have to be, well, they don't have to be, but they are discontinued. Let's see. We are plowing through these. It looks like we got one from AMC Comics.
Jedi Knight says the Simpsons ride is in more danger of closing than Marvel, and I'm not really sure why that would even be.
Maybe because Disney owns them too now. But I don't know why there'd be more.
That's what I'm saying, but they own that.
Yeah. Daniel Davis says the Jurassic Park ride also gave you some anxiety as a kid. It's freaky because
Like,
the
they own
dino.
both. I'm not sure why one would be. Well, anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, so we've got
Or
one from
maybe
you,
there's contract stuff that we don't know about.
Robert Wild. DJ confirmed it. Geek Evolution trip to Universal Studios. Woo!
It's not true until we give out actual specific dates.
I'll get the invitations worked up in Photoshop. I'll send them out.
That would be the worst April Fool's joke.
We just don't show up.
We just tell everybody we're doing this this crazy elaborate trip to Universal Studios, and then we're not there. We do a live show at the same time they're supposed to show up.
Well, we go to Universal Studios California and just like send a picture to them, be like, "Hey,
where are you guys?"
No, we're not jerks. This is why I don't make the Universal Studios, or this is why I don't make the April Fool's Day jokes.
That's for the best, it turns out.
AMC Comics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to ride the Spider-Man ride with you at some point. It's so cool.
Yeah, somebody mentioned that.
And it's the 90s show visuals. It's got Hobgoblin.
Really?
It's got
That's
Hydro
awesome.
Man. It's got She-Venom. It's so weird.
She-Venom. That wasn't even in that show.
Or I don't know what it's like, the yellow and red one. It's like they drew her in the style of that show.
Oh, crazy. Well, what they're probably doing is what a lot of TV things were doing in the 90s, where when you take a TV cartoon and then you'd adapt it to anything else, they just start willy-nilly also grabbing real recent comic stuff and doing it in the same style. Like the Tick video game did that too. It's very straight, where suddenly like you've got Chainsaw Vigilante and you're like, well, for obvious reasons that was never in the cartoon show.
Well, yeah, no, what it is you start in the Daily Bugle, and there's like the line is really cool because it's like you're in the Daily Bugle going through the building, and there's like offices and cubicles and stuff, and then J. Joe Jameson yells at you, and you're like reporters, and you get into this vehicle and you're like driving through the city trying to catch stuff, and then
That's
Doc Ock
awesome.
picks you up and throws you, and then Spider-Man has to
Yeah,
save you and
Jedi
stuff.
Knight. I didn't mention Scream because I wasn't 100% sure that's what he was talking about, but yeah, that's who that is.
All right, shall we do a couple more of the pre-writtens?
Yeah, and then I'm gonna bring up something and talk about something here in just a minute. So yeah, let's do a couple pre-written questions.
All right, we can do. We've been getting to a lot of those this evening. AMC Comics gave
Yeah,
us one. Did you guys see the first official pictures of Keaton's new bat suit?
official pictures. We talked about one a couple weeks ago that was a stunt suit or something, but if anything
That
has
was
come
like
out
behind
since
the
then,
scenes stuff.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, I can see if I can look that up while we're talking. But
Sure.
um, Mutale, this is a good one. What do you think a sequel to Homecoming would have been if it was set before Infinity War?
Wow.
Oh, I would have liked it a lot better, I think, if we
Oh
got
yeah, same here.
another movie before he got thrown into all that stuff.
Uh, it's hard to say. I mean, it honestly could have been more or less the same thing, just without, obviously the blip stuff thrown in. Like, I'm not sure how necessary the 5 year time jump even is to the story they're telling. Really, DJ. Like, they do some things with it,
Well, the
certainly.
Tony dying thing is a lot of Far From Home, and that wouldn't have been there.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, I guess I wasn't. Sorry, I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking about the Mysterio plot and all of that. Where I'm
Mhm.
like, some of that could still be there. I mean, I guess he's got, yeah, because his motivation's all about Tony Stark. Yeah, that's true. Um, I'm sure it still would have been that villain, but like,
Probably.
do you think, DJ, that we would have if that story was told before Infinity War, it would have like included Iron Man again, and then would you end up with, if you got three movies before Tony Stark dies, does it end up just like the Iron Man Spider-Man trilogy, or do we kind of write him out? Is it the
I
most
imagine he'd be there
important
at least a
question.
little bit.
Here's a more important question. Is it actually more likely, if Tony Stark is still alive, that we don't keep relying on Iron Man technology? Maybe if Tony's still alive, they don't feel the need to do a follow-up
The mantle
tribute
piece,
sequel
yeah.
thing to that. Yeah, romanticizing it, and we can actually continue from more of the end of the character arc of the first movie, where he learns he doesn't need the suit, and then he's not using the suit.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I thought the ending of Homecoming was saying,
It
where
was.
he,
No, it
um,
absolutely was. They backtracked it.
yeah, that would have been cool if we got another one. Because yeah, that's what's so weird is we get that movie that's all about that, and then Infinity War happens the next year, and pff, he gets the metal suit and has all the tech in it. It's like it's. I think that really, I think that was the beginning of screwing up the Spider-Man franchise.
No, it absolutely
Um,
was. Well, and of course, you didn't like that movie in the first place, and I was lukewarm on it. And then the more I've seen it, the less I've liked it. And
yeah,
even before No
Far
Way
From
Home,
Home.
like that's not me
Yeah,
retroactively going, I dislike these movies because I've got issues with No Way Home. I still love Homecoming, and I
yeah, we
still
love Homecoming.
it's frustrating that, because I mean, in the best possible ways, that is of course a setup movie. It's unfortunate that the story that's being told there doesn't continue, because in a lot of ways, character wise, it's not really done. It's a starting place, but I still put it over every other Spider-Man movie, and uh, especially with characterization of Peter Parker.
Yeah, Homecoming was great. I wish that we could have continued on where it was going or where it seemed to be going. The world building just like screeches to a halt in the second one, and it did so much in the first one.
Yeah. If with that question he was alluding to the idea that uh, that without Infinity War we continue on in a more natural direction for that character, I 100% agree with that. That like we probably would have gotten something more akin to not just what we wanted, DJ, but what they were setting up, and like maybe even maybe even Tony Stark's death has a lot to do with that feeling like such a side piece. Like, I wonder if there were kind of some ideas, because the sense you get is that they were really plotting those movie by movie, but I wonder where they had no idea where they were going after each of them, and like Webb and Feige have kind of not Webb, who directed those.
Oh, now that you said that, all I can think of is Mark Webb.
I can't think of his name. But yeah, he and Feige kind of alluded,
John something.
Or kind of suggested, is it Watts?
Yeah, John Watts.
It kind of suggested that they were really flying by the seat of their pants with those. I wonder how much of that is because of the way the bigger movies were also being put together, where they didn't always know where exactly all of that was going either, and so they... Maybe some of the same... What I'm suggesting is maybe some of the same problems happened with Far From Home that happened with No Way Home, where they just didn't have enough lead time to really plot it properly and build on what we had before well enough, where it was kind of compromised by where things were going with that universe. Because I don't know that Homecoming ends the way it does if they know that Peter Parker's going to get blipped and have to come back 5 years later.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think that was the biggest problem was that. But I think even if they didn't have to deal with the Avengers stuff, they were just cranking those out too fast to be able to do it. Like
that's what I think.
A couple of years apart every time. They just super rushed them because it's Spider-Man.
Well, but also because, I mean, in their defense, also because you started with a high school kid. So if you don't rush him, he's going to get too old too quickly, which is why you either make several back-to-back or at the same time, or you make it a TV show, or you let him be older in the first place, or you let more time pass in between them. But you can't do it precisely the way they did it if you're already too hamstrung by the other larger events that are happening in your universe.
So I found this. I'm going to post it in the Skype call. It is some photos of Keaton's bat suit.
Okay, thanks, man.
But it says rumor possible leak. But it is a full front, like, okay, I almost said full frontal. It is a full front view from head to toe of the suit. And I don't know.
Nobody needs to see that, DJ.
I don't know, but it says possible rumor. So who knows? It says rumor or possible leak. So
okay, yeah, and I don't like to cover rumors, but since somebody asked about it and you sent me the link, I'll take a look at it real quick. I don't want to waste anybody's time here. That does, DJ, seem to line up pretty well, I think, with the stunt suit that we saw. I think the bat symbol is more or less the same.
Yeah.
If that's what we're getting... Again, I won't spend too much time on this because we don't know if this is exactly what we're going to get or not. And, you know, it looks like prototype material, so it could even be changed before the final product, right? But it looks like kind of a cross between the 89 suit and the Affleck suit in some ways, like with the belt.
Yeah, the utility belt looks interesting. It's got like a bunch. It's got those little capsule things, which looks cool. Yeah. But who knows? Who knows if this is real?
But yeah, I mean, it looks cool. Fine. I don't have anything else to add. We don't know if that's actually what we're getting.
Yeah, hopefully it moves well in the movie, and he can move his neck.
Yeah. There's a part of me that wants him to be able to move his neck, but he doesn't, except for when he really, really has to. But I don't need to joke about it, though, okay?
Oh, no.
I don't need them to call that out, because... See, now that you say that, that's what's going to happen, right? There's going to be some joke.
Yeah. Flash is going to be like, he can't move his neck?
And I realized
Flash's costume looks like he can't move his neck, like that old patchy thing that he has.
And I know there's a joke about it in Dark Knight, but it works because, it was an actual improvement to the suit in the movie, and right,
yeah, sure.
Why am I okay with it there? But I am. That was fine. Anyway.
So I have nothing to add on the Batman
I don't
neck
want to be a
movement.
hypocrite or anything, but I'm just saying, like, I don't want to joke about that, but it works fine in Dark Knight.
Next Captain Logan stream. Why am I a hypocrite?
News at 11.
That's the next $2 Patreon perk little morning video with Cap. Hypocrisy.
Oh, I'm sure that word will come up at some point. Okay, so DJ, I'm going to share my screen again for you.
Oh, thank you.
And no problem. For a second, you're going to probably see yourself. Oh, no, I can just do it this way.
I feel like I've...
Can you? I feel
so
that
special
sometimes. Can you see that?
I can see it. It is a square off poll.
Yeah, so I'm going to go through some recent square off polls real quick, and we'll see how these are doing. I've been posting lots of, or I guess the last 4 or 5 days, I've been posting YouTube Shorts. I've been trying the YouTube Shorts thing. That's addictive,
Shorts
DJ.
happy, yeah.
That's a lot of fun, man. You just take a camera and point it at yourself for 15 seconds. That is fantastic.
Or 60 seconds, as you just recently
discovered. Yeah, I'm going to post a video about that tomorrow. But anyway.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're cool. I haven't posted that yet. But this is kind of a way to get the square off polls in front of more people and to get the channel in front of more people. I've been seeing people comment in those videos and getting a few new subscribers based on the shorts, which is fun, and wasn't initially my intention. It just seemed like maybe a way to get the polls looked at more, and a really nice kind of side effect of that is, this is like a whole other subsection of YouTube that people are using that may not be watching as many regular videos or looking for the kind of content that we generally generate. It's like there are two totally different websites at play here because YouTube is trying to compete so much with TikTok, and shockingly it seems to be working. Like I'm getting more views in the first hour or two on these little 15-second shorts than regular videos that I post, and it's getting in front of people. So anyway, that's really cool. I'm gonna keep using it. I'm having a lot of fun making them, and I'm gonna try some different things even beyond just these poll videos. But thanks to everybody that's participated with these, and I've got to try to make it a little bit clearer though, DJ, that there's a poll attached and how to get to it, because you don't see descriptions right underneath a short when you're looking at it on your phone. You just keep scrolling through the shorts, so you actually have to click a button to open up the description, and most people don't even look at descriptions on shorts, I would imagine, because of the rigmarole you have to do in order to open up the description. So it's a clumsy way to try to get people to click on a link is really the only problem I'm having with them. But anyway, I thought I would take you through some of the ones that I have posted recently that some of you guys might have seen and participated in. The first one I did earlier in the week is, what sitcom would you rather see get a dark and gritty reboot? Because of the dark and gritty reboot for... It's so silly that this happened. I watched about half the pilot, and I don't know how I feel about it. It is bleak, that show, but it's Bel Air, the dark and gritty Fresh Prince reboot.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for that. It looked intense.
It is so strange that the season finale of that dropped like a day or two after the Oscars fiasco.
Unfortunate timing.
Almost a 50-50 split here. 51% of people want Friends, and
it's got to be Friends.
49% of people want Frasier. I think Frasier is a better concept for a dark and gritty show, though.
But Friends will be more funny. To just have I guess, I don't know, because, the only thing that would be funny would be the contrast.
Yeah,
But I would like it if they recreated scenes, because I know that show so well.
Yeah.
Where it's just like Ross cooking fajitas, but he's actually angry and scary and a serial killer. You just make Ross the serial killer that he seems to be in the last 4 seasons, and then it's perfect.
Yeah, you could have a whole... And then the finale of that episode takes place on Thanksgiving, and he murders all of them. I wouldn't want to see a Friends reboot in any sort of way that didn't take place in the 90s. That is so inherently that decade. I feel like modernizing it, there's a lot of irritating things that can happen. Do you really want to see that show transposed to 2022? Because I don't.
No, that would be like making The Odd Couple in like 2010 with Matthew Perry.
That was one of the most painful things I've ever tried to watch. I saw the pilot of
Same,
that.
same.
That was
I
god
started watching
awful.
it. I tried to watch it when I got Paramount Plus, like the free week trial, because it's all on Paramount Plus. And I love Matthew Perry, and I love the other guy
Yeah.
too. What's his name? Tom
But
Lennon.
they had no chemistry together because the script was terrible.
Yeah, it was terrible. But Tom Lennon is a great cat. He was great as that kind of character, but it was just horrible. I mean, I don't know how you write a sitcom these days, but it's not that. That was like it was written in, I don't even know. It wasn't even good like 80s sitcom. It was just like blech.
It was a lot like watching. Well, it was
It's
on
like
the
a
level of
it was like
Joey.
a
I
Disney
mean,
Channel original. It was like a
you're
Disney
right.
Channel kids
It
sitcom is
was
what it
more
felt
like that,
like.
but not intentionally.
No. Yeah, it
No.
probably wasn't. I don't know if it's on the level of Joey. Joey's a special case.
Well, in that it wasn't funny.
Yeah, yeah.
And every time they had the studio audience or canned laughter or however they did that particular show, somehow it was like holding up a sign that said this isn't funny.
Yeah. Please laugh.
it's it's so pathetic. Busted Sim, people are already making Friends seem dark by removing the laugh track from Ross's action. Yes, that is true.
That's amazing.
And
I've seen that.
I've seen that too. So this one was weirdly a little bit controversial, which I was surprised by. It was just a thing I thought of in the car and thought I'd post it. I had some angry people with this. Should Miles Morales have his own superhero name besides Spider-Man? And 60% of people say yes, he should have a different name, and 40% of people think that he should continue to be Spider-Man. I've just always thought, I don't love the Spider-Man mantle thing, and I've always thought it's weird to have two characters running around using the same moniker, because in continuity, that's got to be so confusing for everybody involved, and taking it out of the Ultimate Universe, where Spider-Man didn't die, it's just unbelievable that he would have the audacity to call himself Spider-Man in the first place. Like, even if you think he deserves that, and some people, made representation arguments and all of that, but, like, I like the original character that Bendis created. Like I like Miles Morales quite a bit, and I don't think that kid has an ego, or has that kind of an ego. If Spider-Man was still alive and he got spider powers, he wouldn't call himself Spider-Man.
Spider Kid. Oh, Thomas Lowe says Spider Lad.
uh, are you with me on that, DJ, or like how do you feel about the whole Spider-Man
I
name
don't know.
Miles Morales?
I don't think there's an answer. It's such a weird, sticky
And I
situation. Like,
Well, it's Spider-Man. Of course, it's sticky. I don't know. I don't know what the right name should be. Like, I don't want him to be known as Spin
because you have this kid.
through all the different continuities, like he is in the in the Spidey and His Amazing Friends show for little kids.
Yeah, because I mean, you have this character that people fall in love with. He's called this for a very specific reason, because what Bendis was doing, and then you make this business decision to cram the Ultimate Universe back in because you
Yeah.
want Nick Fury and all the characters that we like from Ultimate, and that's just like a casualty of that merger. Like,
It's so weird. That's actually not what happened with Nick Fury, but yeah.
oh, okay.
That's very that whole thing. Well, because they'd already found a silly roundabout way to kind of make him black in the first place.
Oh, okay.
Because they had a black Nick Fury that was Nick Fury's son, and then they sent Nick Fury to the moon to have to be the Watcher, and then he's never spoken of again. And I'm pretty sure when the Ultimate Universe was folded in, because they cherry picked really hard, DJ. Like, it's not like everything from the Ultimate Universe came over. I don't think we got that Fury. I think we're still stuck with the kid, with the Nick Fury's kid, Nick Fury, but I haven't read in several
Comics are
years,
weird,
so
man.
I'm not sure if that's true, but it was some weird choices. They already thought they had to change the Nick Fury in 616 because of the popularity of Sam Jackson's Nick Fury.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, if you were gonna change his name, you had to do it in that original Spider-Man like crossover. It's weird. I mean, you're gonna make people angry either way. It's
No,
it's
that's
a
absolutely right.
predicament they got themselves into.
Yeah, I don't know what the right answer is, but I don't love it the way it is, because I think it's weird for that character that he's known as Miles Morales before he's known as anything else. Like,
Well, it's a cool. At least it's a cool name. Like
Yeah, it is a good name. Just
that's
just in
like
a
that's like.
branding direct, it's kind of weird. Like imagine if we had that with Miguel O'Hara, where like for some reason we don't want to call him Spider-Man 2099 anymore. He's Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man. Okay. At least like Gwen Stacy, they were able to come up with a good workaround and gave her a really cool name that I think most people like. Like Ghost Spider's an awesome name. It's really good. I wish we'd had it from the beginning. Because Spider Gwen was always
But it makes
strange.
more sense for Miles Morales because he can turn invisible.
If he was called Ghost Spider, he could
Yeah.
be like Phantom Spider or something.
Yeah. Electric Spider or whatever his power is. He's got like a lot of powers.
He has a lot of powers. Yeah, that's true. Anyway, I'll look at a few more of these. Should the next on-screen Wolverine be short and scrappy like he is in the comics? Looks like pretty much everybody's with me on this one.
Yeah, it would be a nice change of pace. It would be cool, if nothing else. We've had a 6'4" Wolverine for 20 years.
Yeah. I just think you need something to. I mean, I want that because that's like
More
Wolverine to
accurate.
me in the comics, but like also just like I said, something to set it apart where you're not comparing them as much. Like I think it would be pretty easy to come up with a version of that character where you're not thinking about Hugh Jackman all that much. And then the last one, are you happy with the overall quality of the Marvel shows on Disney Plus so far? And I'm surprised by the split we have on this one so far, because usually when I put out polls, I'm wondering how many people, DJ, have kind of changed their tune already with some of the Disney Plus shows. Because early on, when there were only, like 3 of these out, it's crazy to say, early on, when we only had 3 Disney Plus Marvel shows, we had, anytime I would do a poll on square offs, because it's not just our audience, like there'd be, and maybe it's just our audience so far that's found this, it's only 61 votes right now, but very often it would be like real super positive in the favor of whatever Disney is doing, and this one that is not the case, which I'm surprised by. 39% say yes, they're fun and I'm invested, and 61% are saying no, I'm losing interest.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I feel like it's just the sheer amount. I feel like people will be losing interest even if they're all great. But
It's
especially
oversaturated.
because they're hit and miss.
We've
It's
gotten too
definitely
much too quickly.
because there's no way to know which ones are going to be great. Like if you would have put out that lineup and then at the end of like and then you time jump ahead to now and you're like the 2 best ones are WandaVision and Hawkeye, nobody would believe you.
Yeah.
What? Nobody would believe that. Like what? No. But you have no idea which ones are gonna turn out okay. It's like a total crapshoot.
Yeah, well, and I know that this show is polarizing, and some people are really happy with it, and I was not. But like Falcon and Winter Soldier going the other direction, I don't think anybody expected that to be polarizing. I think everybody figured that was like the easy, safe bet. Like that'll be the good one. Like
That's
if
the
the rest of
closest
them
to the
suck,
MCU.
that'll be the easy mainstream hit. Like how do you mess that up?
How do you mess it up? You had 3 films. You had a world. You had the Captain America like world already there.
And he was my favorite character in MCU, and I didn't like his TV show. I like Falcon. I like some things he does in that TV show, but and I still love Mackie, but
Yeah, that's an interesting poll. That's
That
I mean
one-
I don't know how many people responded to that, but it is our
surprises
audience, so
me.
it's a little different. But yeah, that's
well, and I don't know
believe
how
it.
much of that again is just our audience yet, because I just posted that one today. That's
Okay.
brand new and already has like the 60 responses.
Wow.
So hopefully we get some more tomorrow, and we see if it starts going back the other way. Because I've had this a lot with polls, where I'll post one of these, and the first day it's going one direction real hard, and the next day it's either a pendulum swing or it's 50-50.
Yeah, those are fun. I like doing those when I see them.
But anyway, thanks again to everybody participating on those, and let's go ahead and do another question or two and see if any more super chats start to pop in, and if not, we'll go ahead and call it a night here in a little bit.
All right. Well, we just answered that one. We've got one
man,
from.
I think I just did the same thing you did, where like I thought I had muted my microphone.
Captain Logan drinking, everyone.
And then
Hope
I'm
you
just like,
enjoyed it. Little Captain Logan mukbang for the evening.
Robert, while they haven't nailed the season finale with any of their shows yet, I agree with that. Something I meant to say a minute ago too is, sorry, let me ask you this real quick before we move on.
Sure.
DJ,
I take questions from the host as well.
okay, but how much do I have to pay you for super chats?
We'll talk about it later.
So, do you look? You're already on payroll, okay? So, do you agree that forgetting the conventional wisdom of the strategy of getting like as much content as often as possible on a streaming service, that some of these projects would probably be better and better received if only they were movies in the first place? Like still on Disney Plus, still going first to home, but just 2.5, 3 hour films instead of stretched out 6 episode miniseries, because at least they didn't start with a huge episode count. But the main complaint you hear about all of these with people that have issues with them is they're just long in the tooth. They could have been a 2 hour movie.
Which is crazy that they had the exact same problem. They learned nothing from Netflix. They learned that they should shorten them.
They learned don't make them 13 every time.
But then they wrote the same proportion for 6 episodes as they did for the 13 episodes.
I think so too. And I mean, it's different with different price. Some things are more guilty of that than others.
It's hard for me to say because I think with what they gave us, you could have made a Hawkeye movie.
I think Hawkeye
that would have been easy. But I could see a perfectly good Hawkeye series if they had just done more with it. I think Hawkeye is a perfect one to do like an 8-episode show, but it was just so...
The structure of that story feels like a movie. It's stretched out to 6 hours.
Yeah, it totally could have been a movie. There's some weird stuff where
and
it feels
I like it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Besides the
I feel like
stuff, and like the ending's not great, but that relationship they nail all the way through, like start to finish.
Yeah.
Everything about Kate and the original Hawkeye, that all works fine.
No, making a movie, cut out some of the days. Like I feel like there was too many days. I feel like that stuff could have happened over like 3 days instead of like the 6 days or whatever that it happens. And then don't just cut out Hawkeye going to a medieval times fight for an entire episode and just get that out. Just get that whole thing out of there.
I agree. Well, I just had this thought, DJ. It's like they're shooting these things backwards. And you know this better than anybody because you've been on the set for one of these. So what it seems to me that they're doing is they're plotting TV shows like they're movies and then forcing a bunch of scenes in. But then they're plotting movies like TV shows and then cutting out a bunch of stuff. Because they'll have these like ridiculous numbers of scenes that you know they have to know they're not going to get all these scenes in, so they shoot way too much, and then probably enough to make a Disney Plus show, at least a 3 or 4 episode one, and then you 4 or 5, and then they cut out a bunch of scenes and they kind of hobble it together. Or are they shooting the shows exactly the same way they do with movies, and they just don't cut out as much?
They just release it all.
Episodes.
Yeah, nothing gets cut. We got to fill out these 6 episodes. 6 weeks we need to last. But yeah, it's really unfortunate that you see them having the exact same issue with their films, where the third act just kind of falls apart on a lot of them. Yeah, and that's transferring to the TV shows, which is really weird. It's weird that you make a completely different thing and then end up in the same spot. I guess maybe it's not. Maybe they're just making movies, like you said, just with a little bit more.
Dagan Spear, I don't see a real problem with the Hawkeye medieval fair thing. What's wrong with that? It just seemed like padding to me. Like I wasn't sure.
It took so long. It seems so weird.
Story and
he's like a spy, super spy, like assassin, and he's just like letting this guy like goofing around with these guys to instead of just going in and taking the thing from him.
Well, it seemed like an attempt at appealing real hard to your to like part of your main demographic, where you're like, look, we know that nerds are watching this, and here's like real life nerd stuff, like that kind of and I know like some people are more okay with this kind of thing than others, but like that felt intrusive to me a little bit.
Yeah, and I had already seen that episode in Mythic Quest, and it's handled way, way better. Everybody watch Mythic Quest on Apple Plus. That episode's funny.
That never helps when you've seen a thing recently that a thing seems to either be ripping off or just thought of at the same time, but didn't
Yeah,
handle it as
that
well.
that show handles the geeky stuff, not like geeky like in pop culture, but like techie, like because it's about a video game company, and it handles it way better.
Yeah.
But yeah, how do we get off on that tangent? Oh,
Because
the square hole.
because I because I wanted to continue that on ad nauseum. I had one more point to make. All right, DJ, let's do another couple of questions.
All right. I know you love these on the spot ranking things, but
Oh
Nicholas Robinson
man,
put in the chat top five best Batman animated films.
who is this?
This is Nicholas Robinson.
Thanks for the question. This one is probably easier to do than the last one of these we had to do where I had to rank live action Batmans. And I should mention with that, by the way, because I posted an excerpt with that the other day, and some people were complaining that I didn't include officially all of the actual live action Batmans. I was just doing the movie ones because I figured that's what the Super Chatter wanted. But of course, I didn't mention the serials or the guy who played in Titans because I haven't seen that. Everybody says that's the worst, and everybody had that at the bottom of their list. And then I didn't mention Gotham Bruce Wayne, who technically is Batman because he puts on a bat suit at the end. That's atrocious, but anyway. So
I could do a top two. I've only seen two animated Batman films. I like both of them a lot. Red Hood and Dark Knight Returns, which is technically two. So
really
I got three.
But you've never seen Phantasm.
I've not.
God, you got to do it, man.
I'm sorry.
It's wonderful.
On the Universal Geek Evolution trip to Universal Studios, I will watch it with you.
Honestly, you should at some point just sit down and do that because it was an influence on the Batman, and you'll be able to see a little bit of that. But anyway, so I would put Phantasm probably toward the top of that. I'm gonna name the five I think I gotta put in here, and then I'll rank them. So it's gonna be. Help me keep track, if you would.
All right, I've got him here.
So Mask of the Phantasm is going to be in there. And then he's not even typing. He's just going to commit it to memory.
I'm going to Tony Stark it.
He's taken my order. He doesn't even have to write it down. You, sir, are going to get a nicer tip at the end of the evening. So...
Hey, can I be the one? Oh, I was about to reference your Patreon money thing. I won't do that. You got to go to Patreon to listen to that. But he mentions tipping. I won't reference those things.
Yeah, that'll be on the wheel, too. Tipping. I'm doing daily blogs right now on Patreon. If you want to join Patreon and you're not already there, $2 tier at the very bottom gets you access to that. And 5 days a week right now. We'll see how long I manage this. I'm spinning a wheel with a word on it that the patrons have given me, and coming up with a dialogue based on that. It's a personal captain's log, and they've been a lot of fun so far and kind of cathartic for me. Kind of a daily journaling thing that I'm doing, and pretentiously putting it out to the patrons. So wanted to give you guys some more content. So
they're great.
Phantasm
I highly recommend it.
Is definitely in there. I think Red Hood I would include, and then I would have to put in Return of the Joker, certainly, which I absolutely adore, and then Dark Knight Returns probably has to be in there. I mean, I think it's just, almost objectively, almost just based on animation alone, but like, it's one of the best adaptations in animation we've ever had of anything. So that's 4. And then after that, I'm trying to decide what else deserves to be on this list.
Did you say Return of the Joker?
Return of the Joker. Yeah.
I know that's a lot of people's favorite.
I don't want to... I don't think it's fair to say Batman Ninja Turtles over other things, so I'm not going to do that. A part of me wants to say Batman Ninja because it's so crazy, and I love the animation.
Yeah. You could say Lego Batman. That's animated.
Maybe I would have to put that there because I do like that a lot. Yeah, maybe so. I mean, that's probably 5th on that list if I'm including it.
Right.
I think to this day, Phantasm I'm still putting at the very top of that list, even over Red Hood. This is just favorites.
Yeah, whatever you want it to be.
So yeah,
no
it's Phantasm, it's Red Hood, is it? Yeah, it's Red Hood, and then it's Return of the Joker, and then it's Dark Knight Returns, and then it's one of the sillier cartoony Batman movies. It's either it's Lego Batman, but a part of me wants to do Batman Ninja Turtles, a part of me wants to do Batman Ninja. Not Ninja
Or
Turtles, but
Return to the Cape
Ninja.
Crusaders.
Oh no, I have to put Return of the King Crusaders in there. I wasn't even thinking about that. No, that would be my number 5. That beats out Lego Movie all day long. Lego
Okay.
Batman movie. Thank you for mentioning that.
There we go. I know
Thank
you
you
well,
so
sir.
much for mentioning that.
There would have been riots in the comments.
There
All
would have
right.
been riots from myself after the fact. I would have been thumbs downing my own video. No one would know, but I would.
All right. We just got a super chat in from Adrian Reyna
Thank you very
Martinez.
much. What's up?
Hawkeye has always been one of my favorites. Just a little bummed it was more of a Kate Bishop show. Very excited for She-Hulk, though.
Yeah, I'm real intrigued by that. I hope that works out. I've always, another character that I'm not a huge fan of, but I've always liked when she shows up and stuff, and it's fun that they're attempting that. I've heard it's getting apparently reshoots because of, just effects. Like that's got to be the heaviest effect show that they've attempted.
Yeah, and we haven't seen what she's going to look like at all,
I
right?
don't think we have.
It's going to be interesting. If she's, yeah, if are they going to go like prosthetics mostly and like enhance with CG? If they try to go full CG, that could go several ways.
I loved their version of Kate Bishop and that actress so much that I'll go as far as to say that if she was characterized and acted exactly the same way, they almost could have, for me, gotten away with having him show up only a couple of times, and I might have still liked that show. Like I really like her, and I'm surprised I'm saying that. As it is,
Yeah, she's great.
I really appreciate that they have the kind of mentor protege relationship that they have, that they don't feel the need to throw him under the bus to have her take the mantle and make a big deal out of look guys, we have female superheroes now. Like I thought all of that was handled so much more maturely and without making a big deal out of progressiveness and stuff than it has been in some other things, and even in some other Marvel stuff. This is the way I want to see things like that handled. This is how a pass the torch thing should happen. She's wonderful. He's not turned into a jerk face for no good reason, and he's made a lot more sympathetic than I thought maybe you'd be able to after he was sort of thrown under the bus with the whole Ronin thing. I'm still not sure why Ronin is all that much worse than when he was killing people for S.H.I.E.L.D., but
yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
he's dark. He's got a knife. He's got a big sword now.
It bookends it. It's like poetry. It rhymes. But yeah, no, that stuff was handled great. Like her being a girl has nothing to do with anything. It's mostly about her being a kid, which is awesome. And she's great. And I'd love to see a season 2 with Hawkeye, like just on a phone call or something. I don't even need him in the second season. If she could just carry a show.
Yeah, absolutely. But I wish she'd get a big screen movie, because it would probably be handled better.
Oh, she is in True Grit. Yeah, Chewbacca's Lover says the actress won an Oscar for True Grit. I do not remember that she was. Yeah, that's a long time ago. I haven't seen that
since shortly after it came out, and that was a decade ago. So.
2010, yeah, wow. 12 years ago. No, she's great. She's great in everything. I mean, we were just watching her Dickinson show on Apple TV Plus last night. I gotta go seek
her out in other things.
She's great as Gwen Stacy. She's awesome.
No, they need to use that as the gold standard for passing the torch characters that take up new mantles when we're writing more Marvel characters out. Because if we had... I mean, I haven't talked to one person even that didn't care for that show that thought that she was the problem. I think if you put her in movies, you have more characters like that, we could maybe get to a place where people aren't missing the A-Team too much and start to see these characters as more of the A-Team. I want to see her and I don't mean A-Team like the TV show. I want to see her and like Falcon on screen together, like.
That'd be funny. I think she's one character who could get like under Falcon's skin because she just doesn't give a care about anything.
That's true.
she wouldn't take him seriously at all. John Ty put in a $2 super chat.
Silly again. Go ahead.
John Ty put in a $2 super chat saying, "No Long Halloween animated movie on your list?"
I like it. I've only seen each of those once, and so haven't had enough time with it uh, but I'm not sure it would go over any of the other things I put on my list, especially once we thought of Cape Crusaders,
Yeah, this is
which
top
is
five.
maybe
This
even
is
a little higher than that.
la creme de la creme.
Maybe Dark Knight Returns is actually fifth on the list for me, but it still has to be in there. It's that, and like those movies together combined are a movie.
All right, then Bag Studios with the last super chat here. 199 elevator pitch. Who framed Roger Ebert?
That's hilarious. Look, I don't want us to start setting these horrifying precedents where we do like 3D animated versions of real people that have died and they're playing themselves. Yeah, I don't know what that would look like. Because I'm trying to, because the first thing that comes to mind is we'll figure out a way to still make it the same story or in the same vein as Roger Rabbit. But yeah, the idea of doing some kind of like historical fiction piece where there's this dark period that nobody knows about or talks about, like it was a big secret that like Roger Ebert for like 5 minutes was believed to be a murderer and he was like framed for murder and then it was just like swept under the rug somehow. That sounds hilarious. There's a part of me that wants to write that script. I mean, that sounds really funny.
That's crazy. I watched just yesterday. I watched this crazy Disney cartoon. It was from 1936. It was on one of those Disney Treasure DVDs. It's a Mickey Mouse cartoon. It's called Mickey's Polo Team, and it's just a polo match. But all of the Mickey characters on one side, like Mickey, Donald, Goofy, and Big Bad Wolf, and all the other characters are famous actors from the time.
Weird.
Like it's Charlie Chaplin, it's Harold Lloyd, it's in the like Shirley Temple's in the audience and stuff. Like it's all the 30s.
Harold Lloyd, by the way.
Oh, he's amazing. I just recently watched what's his biggest one that's in the Criterion Collection? Safety Last? Yeah, Safety Last. He's funny. But yeah, it was weird. And then they were all animated to look exactly like those comedians and
That's wild.
It was like it's like the Disney's, it's like the equivalent of No Way Home, but like in the 30s.
What I would do with Who Framed Roger Ebert is I would go back in time and try to find a director or actor that he was that he was really critical of or seemed really mean to in a review that died shortly thereafter, and then now he has motive. Seems
well, I think Beyond the Valley of the Dolls has to work its way in there.
Oh, absolutely, sure.
Which would make our good buddy Austin super happy.
And then Daniel Davis says, and then Roger Ebert uses his critic skills to get himself out of trouble. Yeah, absolutely. He would have to, well, of course, he would have to represent himself at his own trial. And he would have to use his, he would have to write his way out of it somehow. Absolutely.
Whoa, Bob the Hun, have you guys seen the test footage for a Roger Rabbit sequel that was from the 90s?
Matthew Pace, remember when Ebert ruined your image? I talk just like that! That's brilliant. Anyway, no, I have not seen any test footage of that.
Interesting.
Well, DJ, unless you see anything brilliant past that, I think that's going to do it for us this evening.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a good show, guys.
Well, we sure had a good time. I hope you did too. We'll see you again next week. Same cap time, same cap channel. And join Austin and I tomorrow night for some 90s Spider-Man at 10 o'clock my time, 10 o'clock Central. And thanks a lot, everybody, for being here and for your insightful and eclectic and amusing questions. DJ,
always a pleasure.
Thank you for reading the questions because I'm illiterate.
Oh, well, no problem, sir. I will happy to hook on phonics for you, sir.
We'll see you later, everybody. Bye.